I want to do something very rare in this program, and that is find an area of agreement with former Republican Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. I pulled up a post of his from 2015. Remember what Scotty Walker was doing in 2015? September 21st? He was running for president of the United States, just like Badger Boy State. And he had just gotten done with a debate out at the Reagan Library, which I've been to. Beautiful place. If you ever get a chance, regardless of your political affiliation, go to the Reagan Library in Simi Valley. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's just a great place. I want to read you what Scott Walker wrote on September 21st of 2015. He said, quote, "As a kid, I was drawn to Ronald Reagan because he was a Republican and a conservative. But most of all, I admired him because of his eternal optimism in the American people." That thought came into my head when we were all standing at the Reagan Library one Wednesday. President Reagan was good for America because he was an optimist. Sadly, the debate taking place in the Republican Party today is not focused on that optimistic view of America. Instead, it has drifted into personal attacks. In the end, I believe that voters want to be for something and not against someone. Instead of talking about how bad things are, we want to hear how we can make them better for everyone. We need to get back to the basics of our party. Unquote. Nothing there I don't disagree with about Scott Walker when he wrote there.
Now, unfortunately, what he did may not align with what he said, but what he said sounds good.
What he said in 2015 when he was running against Donald Trump, very different than what happened later on, right? But it doesn't matter whether it's Scott Walker, Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden of the 3rd Congressional District, Glenn Grothman, Congressman in Wisconsin, Brian Stile, the 1st District of Wisconsin, Congressman. They all love Ronald Reagan. Many of them also love George H.W. Bush, the first Bush president. So I want to take us back, pursuing the truth, wherever it may lead. It's going to lead us back to 1980, the Republican primary of 1980. Reagan and Bush were running against each other. They were in Texas for a presidential debate. And the question came up on immigration and kids who come here with parents who are undocumented. This is the standard bearer. 2 U.S. Republican presidents in my lifetime. The man that Scott Walker and most Wisconsin Republicans idolize, put up on a pedestal, Ronald Wilson Reagan. First of all, here's the question, followed by George H.W. Bush's response.
Yes, my name is David Grossberg, and I'd like to know, do you think that children of illegal aliens should be allowed to attend Texas public schools free, or do you think that their parents should pay for their education?
Who are you addressing that to?
I think you're first in this.
He's looking right at you. I said he was. Look, I'd like to see something done about the illegal alien problem that would be so sensitive and so understanding about labor needs and human needs that problem wouldn't come up. But today, if those people are here, I would reluctantly say I think they would get whatever it is that they're, what the society is giving to their neighbors. But the problem has to be solved. The problem has to be solved because as we have kind of made illegal some kinds of labor that I'd like to see legal, we're doing 2 things. We're creating a whole society of really honorable, decent, family-loving people that are in violation of the law, and secondly, we're exacerbating relations with Mexico. The answer to your question is much more fundamental than whether they attend Houston schools, it seems to me. I don't want to see if they're living here, I don't want to see a whole thing of 6- and 8-year-old kids being made, one totally uneducated and made to feel that they're living with outside the law. Let's address ourselves to the fundamentals. These are good people, strong people. Part of my family is a Mexican.
Right there, George W. Bush alluding to the fact that his son, Jeb Bush, married Columba Bush, who was a Mexican-American. George P. Bush went on to have a political career as well, part Latino. President Bush talking about these are good people, strong people, wanting to find ways forward. Ronald Reagan The standard bearer of the Republican Party says, hold my beer.
Can I add to that? I think the time has come that the United States and our neighbors, particularly our neighbor to the south, should have a better understanding and a better relationship than we've ever had. And I think that we haven't been sensitive enough to our size and our power. They have a problem of 40 to 50% unemployment. Now, this cannot continue without the possibility arising with regard to that other country that we talked about, of Cuba and what it is stirring up, of the possibility of trouble below the border, and we could have a very hostile and strange neighbor on our border. Rather than making them or talking about putting up a fence, why don't we work out some recognition of our mutual problems, make it possible for them to come here legally with a work permit, and then while they're working and earning here, they pay taxes here. And when they want to go back, they can go back, and they can cross and open the border both ways by understanding their problems. This is the only safety valve right now they have with that unemployment that probably keeps the lid from blowing off down there. And I think we could have a fine relationship, and it would solve the problem you mentioned also.
Ronald Wilson Reagan, President of the United States, 2 times elected, one of the greatest presidents in American history, in many ways an eternal optimist, said he does not only want not even a wall, not even a fence. Let's have open borders and a legal process so people can cross and go back and forth and work. And you know what? Ronald Reagan was all about the dollar sign. Let's make sure they're paying taxes into our economy and make a stronger economy. That's what Ronald Reagan was about. Ronald Reagan and George Bush had compassion. Guess what Ronald Reagan also did? He signed an amnesty bill, and they didn't try to couch it and sugarcoat it. It was an amnesty bill for a large group of folks who had come here undocumented to give them permanent resident status so that they weren't living in the shadows, so that they could be dignified, respected, and part of the American melting pot. That is what the Republican Party used to stand for, okay? Those are the facts, my friends.